Welcome to the game. I'm Russ Cohen. We've got Nikco Riesgo. Nikco, how are you?
Russ Cohen, my man.
And Mike Augello. Mike, how are you?
Good evening.
All right, let's talk about home run derby. Pete Alonso got toasted. Schwarber got toasted by Albert Pujols, but neither of those guys are in it. It's Soto against Rodriguez, and my guess is that Rodriguez is going to win. It was fun to watch, Nikco. I enjoy it. I didn't think the announcing was great though. A lot of people were like, could be a little more exciting.
It could be more exciting, and I don't know how they could make it a little bit more competitive. That it maybe making everybody challenge everybody in the rounds and things like that to advance to the next rounds. But to make the long story short, I'm glad Alonso's not a winner. I mean, I'd much rather see him hold up the World Series trophy than the Home Run Derby trophy. Okay, this means
let's not get ridiculous here.
A lot of people are saying that. I get it. I mean, look, Pete has 77 RBIs for the first half, a great first half. Look, the Mets had a good first half, but the fact is Atlanta's only 2.5 behind, and I'm not handing anything to them yet. The Dodgers have 60 wins, and, the Phillies still have a pretty good offense too. They're going to come in first or second, but the playoffs are going to be hard.
I have to give the Mets a lot of credit, though, because you deal with Scherzer gone for, I think it was 6 weeks or something like that. Mm-hmm. You've had to go through the entire season without DeGrom, and you're still in the position that you are right now, and you're leading over the reigning World Series champs. So, as much as I don't like to give the Mets credit, they're having a great year. I think Buck is doing a pretty decent job. They've pieced together a rotation. Now, if they get DeGrom back and they get Scherzer going, and then have Bassett as the third starter, I mean, they're really in pretty decent shape going up against the powerhouse Dodger team or Atlanta or whoever else in the playoffs.
Sure, but everybody's going to get better, Nikco. They're all going to add players. So it is going to matter who adds what. I mean, the Mets could use another reliever. They could use an outfielder. They might get another bullpen arm. A lot of teams are going to add players.
They are in a dogfight, and this is great to see. It's going to be another great year, and that's how the game works. Every single year it gets better and better, and it's great to see the Mets in it, and they've had a terrific half. I haven't seen them have this kind of first half in a long, long time, and they've shown consistently that they are going to be there, all right? And Alonso, again, if he can continue his torrid pace, I mean, he has basically taken the Mets and put them on his shoulder, him and Marte and Nemo, just getting on base every single day. Lindor producing runs.
Jeff McNeil's one of the best hitters in the league. Yep.
And McNeil over 300. And they're not getting the power from everybody in the lineup that they're used to, but they're playing small ball. They're running from first to third. They're scoring and they're winning games late, coming back. They're not giving up, and that's what I love to see.
Nope, that's fair. And Mike, if we switch to the Yankees, one thing that's really noticeable about the Yankees is that plus 199 differential. It's kind of embarrassing for baseball that teams have that big a differential. You look at Detroit, they're minus 112. You look at KC, they're minus 110. Oakland's minus 118. The Nationals are minus 149. Like, it's embarrassing for some of these teams. It's great for the Yankees, though.
Well, it's not only the Yankees, but I mean, the differential is so high with them. And the funny thing is that you look at this team as compared to teams of previous seasons. Okay, Stanton is healthy finally. Judge is having a year for the ages. He's making a salary run. They didn't make the big splash in free agency in terms of, who to go after at first base. They instead just re-signed Anthony Rizzo, and Anthony Rizzo is sort of tailor-made for that ballpark. They make the trade and they get Donaldson. The thing that's different here with this team is they're much better defensively. And, you can say that that's overrated if you have overpowering offense. But we know when you get into the playoffs, that offense, all offenses are limited. They've got experienced guys. Rizzo's won a World Series. Donaldson's won an MVP. Kiner Falefa is a sort of stopgap shortstop who's not bad. Torres is playing much better at second base. they've pieced together two catchers in Higashioka and Trevino, who on their worst day is better than Gary Sanchez behind the plate. And I mean, the only thing that I think is a concern right now, because almost everything went right, is the fact that Severino, after having a pretty good first half, has a sore shoulder in his last start, and they put him on the DL. And they say it's nothing serious, but that could be sort of spin before the trade deadline, so they don't get raked over the coals in a deal for a starting pitcher. And if you go into the playoffs with Garrett Cole and then a hope and a prayer with Jordan Montgomery, Nestor Cortez, and Jameson Taillon, that's a little scary. So I think that Brian Cashman not only is going to look for an outfielder at the trade deadline, but he's probably going to look for a number 2 or a number 3 starter. And there are enough guys out there that I think they can get that guy. So it's going to be a very interesting couple weeks.
Well, I guess that guy could be Juan Soto, and who did just win the home run derby. He came back from behind and pulled it out. There's a lot of talk. Like now, there's talk that the Cardinals will give him $500 million. Like
the Padres,
the Padres aren't. The Padres are pretenders, but there's probably 4 or 5 teams that can legitimately do this. But again, do you want to deplete all your assets to do it? Like that's the big question here.
I'll say this and then pass it over to Nikco. When it comes to Soto and the Yankees, everybody talks about that. First of all, his contract, the way it was explained, he's got 2 more years after this year.
Right.
One with arbitration. So whoever trades for him doesn't have to sign him to the massive deal. But if you're giving up, 2 or 3, grade A prospects, you're going to want to. So it's a whole thing of he's going to have some control over this because he's only going to sign where he wants to go. If they want him to be a mercenary, sure, you can do that. But, if you're the Yankees, you're going to give up Volpe and Dominguez and all their top prospects, or the Mets give up their top. I don't think those teams will do it. So I do think there's a possibility of a team like a San Diego or a St. Louis or a couple others, not named the Dodgers or the Yankees or the Mets, that eventually gets him and pays him the money that he thinks he deserves.
Well, Nikco, what do you think?
This reminds me of Juan Gonzalez. And it's a shame that Soto has put himself in this position and he's turned down $400 million. Who in their right mind turns down that kind of money for any organization? I would not want this guy. For someone who can turn down that kind of money for an organization that has supported him through his beginning, and this is the kind of loyalties that he shows. They just won a World Series, and he's looking at the market for more than 400. It's a wrap for me. If I'm the GM, it's over. I'm looking at young guys that we can get before they hit that star level.
Well, Nikco, let me just ask you this, because I mean, if everybody sees the $440 million price tag, and they don't say that it's over 15 years, and they don't see that the AAV on this is, I think it was $28 million. Okay, right now he wants to be the highest paid player in the league. He doesn't need a 15-year contract. That's for the Nationals to lock him up long term. But he wants to make $50 million a year.
Who cares what he wants? This is the offer on the table. This is what the Nationals can afford. I know, but what I'm saying, he's walking down the line of what he wants, what Juan Gonzalez wanted, okay? And the game doesn't work that way, okay? Karma works, okay? He may get what he wants, but in the end, the team is not going to get what they want out of, hopefully they do. But, we've seen in the past that they get what they want, but the team never gets, the results and the productivity.
Well, the issue here is, like, he wants a salary similar to like Lindor and Scherzer, and those guys had to play a lot of years to get that salary, and he wants it now at this age, Mike. And I think he is going to have some trouble getting much more than that.
He might get it after he's not having a particularly great year this year, which is give me a little pause. He's in 250 with 20 home runs. He's on pace to hit 40. He needs to get his average up a little bit, but that doesn't seem to be a big issue anymore to hit for average. But, he's a big left-handed power hitter. He's 23 years old. I mean, yeah, you would like a little bit more of a resume, but this is going down the um from Philadelphia, former national, who
Bryce Harper.
he's going down the Bryce Harper route. That's the blueprint here. He's just doing it a little early. Like I said, they have control on him until 2024, until the end of the 2024 season. So they can sit there and play him. I think they're going to get as much in the offseason as they would at the deadline. So I think this might be much ado about nothing. Just the fact that he turned down $440 million. Well, Aaron Judge turned down $380 million, something like that, some ridiculous amount. That's par for the course. It's right now, and this is the way it's starting to sound in Major League Baseball. It's not going to be long, like the Tatis type deals are going to be a thing of the past. These teams don't want to be locked up with guys when they're 37 or 38, like Robinson Cano. They'll pay maximum bucks for their prime years. So you're going to see shorter term deals with higher AAVs. That's the way it's probably going to go.
Yeah, I could see that. But this one still could happen in season. I mean, it really could. I'm not going to say no to that. I think there's a chance of that. And yeah, we'll see. Like I said, 4 or 5 teams. That's what we're looking at. So, Nikco, the Dodgers, could they still be the best team in baseball?
No. The Dodgers.
The
Dodgers. No, the Dodgers are going to be in the playoffs, obviously. Okay, but the Yankees, obviously with their massive offense, have proven that they're on another level this year, and they're going to be a force, to reckon with when it comes to playoff time.
Yeah, but the Dodgers pitching staff is way better than the Yankees pitching staff.
I agree.
They just don't have the hitters. So it's like you said, they don't have the hitters, and I think the Yankees have enough pitching to slow down the Dodgers. It's gonna be a battle of the ages. That's all I can say. It's gonna be another great year. And what's exciting to say about the Yankees is Matt Carpenter. Matt Carpenter is the story of the Yankees, and that pickup, he could be the difference for the Yankees. He is that spark plug, that unknown factor that we don't know. Almost what we saw with the Atlanta Braves, how they just kind of changed when they added Rosario and Soler for the playoffs. And Matt Carpenter, he basically every game he plays, he hits a home run. That Yankee Stadium is built.
It's not going to hold up. It's not going to hold up.
No. I mean, but it's a great story, because I'm well aware of Carpenter's history with the Cardinals. He was a really good player for them. He sort of tailed off, sort of regathered himself. He was in the, I guess, Texas Rangers organization. The Yankees brought him in. I think they just brought him in as a left-handed bat. Now he's absolutely red hot. He has 13 home runs and 78 at bats. Obviously, that's not going to continue. It's very Greg
Bird. It's very Greg Bird like.
I was going to say for older generations, Kevin Moss. That's exactly what it is. But they're taking advantage of it at a very opportune time because guys like Aaron Hicks have gotten hurt. They had Donaldson hurt for a while. So Carpenter comes in. But going back to the Dodgers and Yankees comparison, I mean, the Dodgers definitely have the starting pitching advantage with Buehler, with Kershaw, with Gonsolin. Anderson has got a bunch of wins. But
just those first 3, and the way Kershaw's pitching, I mean, Kershaw's having another one of his insane years where that could drive a team. I mean, besides having Mookie Betts and Trey Turner and all that.
And Urias, he's a pretty good pitcher too. But their bullpen is not awe-inspiring. Whereas the Yankees have had probably the best bullpen in baseball without Aroldis Chapman being available for I think a couple months, without Zach Britton, who will probably be back before the end of the season, without Jonathan Loaiza, who was arguably the best setup guy in the league last year. It's been Michael King and Clay Holmes has been absolutely unbelievable. So their bullpen is what may carry them in the playoffs. But to that point, I think they're still going to need a number 2 starter, because if your game 2 starter is Jordan Montgomery, that's not very, very awe-inspiring.
No, and that's why, regardless of what moves happen, I'm still looking at the Dodgers as the team to beat. Now, if DeGrom comes back 100%, maybe I'll pivot over to the Mets. But right now, I can't do that. So I have to give the Dodgers their due. Nico, I get what you're saying about the hitting, but if the hitting ever stops and you're in a 7-game series, you know what happens.
Yes, and is their pitching going to hold up? Like I said, I think they've got a straw pitching. Basically, they've got some good numbers now, but a lot of those pitchers can be beat. Kershaw's hot now, but when it comes to really the playoff time, is he going to have that when it's really on the line? I think he's out of gas, and I think the only one that's really
He's not out of
proven,
gas.
the only
Come
one that's
on.
really proven
He was
themselves this
pitching a
year.
no hitter. He was pitching a no hitter through 6 in his last start.
Right, it's right before the break. Come on, man. Now these guys are not even focused on the game. They're getting ready to go to Hawaii for the weekend. I mean, it's great. He's doing good. He's healthy. But Kershaw, I'm telling you, we'll see in the playoffs. I would like to see it. The last couple of years in the playoffs, that's the Kershaw that I expect.
If they're going to Hawaii, take me with them. But yeah, no, I mean, the one thing I'm not worried
Kershaw's
about.
got 12 walks in 71 innings. He's walked 12 guys.
The one thing I'm not worried about the Dodgers is pitching. I mean, yes, we know the reputation of them not showing up the way they do during the regular season. You can say that for a lot of teams. But offense is a consideration. I mean, Betts is carrying them. A guy like Gavin Lux has finally started to come around. He's hitting over 300, but he's batting 9th. So they really, I think if they're going to go out and do anything before the deadline, they're probably going to go out and try to find the biggest, baddest hitter they can find and put him in the middle of that order, because I think they do need to generate more offense.
Yeah, it'll be someone like Soler or somebody like that. But just to point out, Nico, when the Dodgers did win the World Series in 2020, Kershaw was 2-0 in the postseason. Like, that's all he needed to be.
Yeah, that was it. And that was, like I said, that was a little baby World Series. Let's put the big boy pants on. This is the big boy World Series. And, let's see him get the big boy trophy.
A World Series is a World Series.
Yeah, I can't diminish a World Series. I mean, it took a lot to get there. But other teams, the Giants are sort of fading, which is surprising. I thought they would do a little better. The Phillies.
Honestly, Russ, I don't know how the Giants have done it over the years. I mean, they seem to be doing it with mirrors. It's like, Posey's gone, and they like their offense does not inspire much confidence for me. But they've just been able to see how to piece together things to win. But I'm just wondering when the magic wears out.
Yeah, and even the Padres, right? I don't know. Is Tatis ever coming back this year? I don't know. Like, if he were to come back, they'd be a serious contender right now. They'll make the wild card, but I don't know how far they could go. They really do need a healthy Tatis to do something. I got to give the Cardinals credit, though. I mean, the Cardinals are just a half game back in the wild card. And Mike, we talked about them a while back. They started off horribly. They seem to be picking up steam lately.
Yeah, I mean, they have those solid veteran guys like Goldschmidt and Arenado, and in the middle of their lineup. But their pitching has been, consistent enough that they're staying in the mix. But I'm not sure. Like, there's enough need there in both sides of the game, but in terms of hitting and in terms of pitching, I think they need like one of each. And I don't know whether they're willing to expend the capital to upgrade that much at the deadline. They may be in on Soto, and Soto is, would arguably be the biggest hitter that they've had since Pujols in his prime. And if they see that opportunity, maybe they'll be willing to leverage some of their future prospects to get him.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, again, it really, getting somebody like Soto could really, shift the balance of a playoff. There's no question about it. But Mike, and then Nico, I'll get your opinion. Getting back to the American League, I mean, other than the Astros and the Yankees, everybody else kind of stinks.
Everybody is flawed. I mean, I hear I hear the Blue Jays analysis because I'm so close to Toronto, and to me they've been an extreme disappointment. They fired Charlie Montoyo. I don't Guerrero is a great player, Bichette is a great player, but they just haven't seemed to piece it together. And as I predicted, their rotation and especially their bullpen suck. I mean, Manoah is an all-star and he's really good, but Kikuchi was a bad ad. They're not getting as much as they expected out of their other starters, and their bullpen needed to be addressed. And other than their closer Romero, their middle guys have been really bad. So they're flawed. The Red Sox are flawed. I mean, Sale just broke his finger in the last game against the Yankees. So, I think he was back for a day, and now he'll be out for 3 months because it was on his pitching hand. Evaldi is in and out. They've got the situation with Xander Bogaerts, whether to keep him or trade him. I mean, they're really in a weird situation, and Tampa Bay has sort of faded. So, the American League seems to me it's going to come down to the Yankees and the Astros. And, I always hesitate about the Yankees and the Astros, especially from the Astros side, because I'm worried they're going to cheat again.
Tampa, Nico, I mean, they're only a plus 29. By the way, Tatis Jr. is starting to hit, so it looks like he will be back. So that's a big boost for San Diego. But getting back to the American League, Nico, I mean, is there anybody else you like other than the Yankees and the Astros?
Absolutely. I mean, how could we not talk about the Mariners and how they finished that second half? They are on fire. They've gotten the pieces together, and that second half is going to be theirs. And basically, the Astros have got their hands full, okay? Because you got Robbie Ray, and you've got Logan Gilbert, you got Chris Flexen. They all have established themselves as top
Chris
premier.
Flexen? All right.
I am. I'm going to give him his respect because the players play for him.
He's okay.
He doesn't have the extreme, maybe talents of a Cy Young Robbie Ray, but he's getting the job done, and the players are playing hard for him every day, and that's what really matters.
Yeah, Ty France. I mean, they have some good players. Mike, do you put any stock into the Mariners right now?
I mean, they're impressing me because I didn't expect much out of them. I mean, obviously the kid that was just in the home run derby is he's a superstar right now. I mean, he's hitting 275. He's got 16 home runs, so he's probably going to hit 30 home runs as a 21-year-old, which is probably something they haven't seen since a certain guy named Alex Rodriguez. I mean, I think they'll make the playoffs.
I thought you were going to say Jay Buhner, but okay.
No Ken Phelps references. But the thing is that I think they've got pieces. I don't have to know if they have enough, but as we've seen in the playoffs before, a team gets hot, a team gets has a dominating starter that can pitch twice in a 5-game series, or maybe even 3 times in a 7-game series, and anything can happen. So, I give them credit, and I think that they're an up-and-coming team. They've spent enough money on that team, but now finally some of their prospects are starting to come to the forefront, and they also benefited from the mass exodus of the Cincinnati Reds getting Suarez and Winker. I mean, that should be outlawed in Major League Baseball, how that team just emptied the coffers completely.
And Castillo's going to go too at some point.
Yeah, and they're going to basically have the Louisville Reds, or whoever their AAA team is now. But it's gonna be a disgrace. I mean, it's just like the Kansas City Royals, but they couldn't bring 10 players into Canada because of COVID. Well, the Cincinnati Reds forgot their team because they traded everybody away.
Look for the Yankees to pick up Castillo. And about the National League, I like the Brewers.
Okay. Yeah, the Brewers.
Yeah, we got to talk about the Brewers. The Brewers were 1 game away from the World Series, and they decided not to go with their horse, Corbin Burness, which is the most ridiculous decision that, like I said, that cost them a World Series. And they're really hustling this year. They're right back at it again. Corbin Burness, again, is their horse, but they've got Woodruff right behind them, and they've got Eric Lauer. They've got a couple of pitchers that can go out there and win games with the scrappy offense.
Yeah, they're scrappy, but they're not very good offensively. I mean,
it's all pitching. Haters in the bullpen, right? I mean, it's all pitching.
Yeah, I mean, look at their lineup. I mean, they have some good defensive players, but right now, Rowdy Tellez, a Blue Jays reject, Colton Wong, a St. Louis reject, Willie Adames, a Tampa Bay reject,
But
Peter.
he's a good hitter actually.
He's a good hitter, but I'm just saying he's only hitting 220 this year. But Yelich is not having a great year. Lorenzo Cain is hitting 179, so he's in Joey Gallo territory. I mean, this is not an awe-inspiring offense. They need to
Well,
probably, if they're
Lord,
going to.
McCutcheon has really added some spark to them that I didn't really expect. That
Yeah,
he's in that
he
heart
fades
heart
though. He
there.
does fade.
Yeah,
He
Yeah,
gets
he
hurt.
does. But come playoff time, because they're going to be in the playoffs, and with their kind of pitching, all
Hmm.
they need is 2 or 3 runs, and I'm saying they're going to be the team to watch out for.
I mean,
but they
Josh
need.
Hader. I will say
Yeah,
this: Josh Hader is leading the majors with 27 saves. 27 saves in half of a season is a lot.
yeah, he's automatic. But they need not only 2 or 3 runs each game, they need 2 or 3 hitters to be a competitive offense. And I don't know whether, they're going to go out before the deadline. And, if they can get 2 hitters that help them, again, especially against right-hand pitching, then maybe they can piece together enough of a lineup with their pitching to be a threat.
Yeah, I can see a lot of these teams dumping out of players. The question is, will they do it right at the deadline? Because again, you could go later into the waiver period because now more teams make the playoffs, Mike. That's the issue.
Yeah, yes, but I mean, there is no 2 trade deadlines as there was in the past. I think August 2nd is it, basically. I mean, you can get players that get bought out, that get
You can still move a guy through waivers, though. You still can.
right. I mean, but it's risky and it's not an exact
Hmm.
science. So if you want to make a deal that's impactful, you've got about 2 weeks to do it because I think it's August 2nd. That's the
Hmm.
deadline, and I do think that there are going to be teams that load up. And the one thing, going back to the Luis Castillo talk. The big concern about any pitcher like that, especially when he's going to a big market like LA or New York, is whether they can adjust. We saw Sonny Gray go to New York, and
Hmm.
he was great in Oakland, and he sucked in New York, and then he went to Cincinnati, and he's good again. So, Zach Greinke in big markets has not been as good, in smaller markets has been fine. So, you've not only got to find a pitcher who's talented, also got to find a pitcher who's got a tough enough psyche to deal with New York. That's why since Castillo is sort of an unknown commodity in terms of that, I think that the Yankees might go after like a veteran guy who's on a short-term contract, for example, like a Madison Bumgarner. I don't know how
Oh
many
my
years he
God,
has.
he doesn't have anything left. Come
No,
on,
but
Mike.
I'm using that as an example. Maybe not him
Okay.
specifically, but a veteran guy who they know what to expect. Somebody they can bring in,
I mean, Jose
plug in.
Quintana is not bad. He's another one that's
Right,
available.
and so somebody like that. I mean, it's not specifically him, but there are enough good pitchers on bad teams that I think they'd find one with enough experience to come in, plug in, and be good. Castillo is one of those high risk, high reward type guys. He could challenge Cole to be the number one starter with his stuff, but the problem is, can he handle New York? And that's always a big question.
Yeah, I'll give you the guy the Yankees could get instead of Castillo, Kyle Hendricks. That's probably
He's on the injured list, so that's not going to happen. But I'll tell you,
I don't
I
know.
know that
Everybody thinks he'll still get traded, so maybe he's coming back. I don't know.
maybe he's coming back, yeah. But I know that everybody sort of poo-pooed this because he was one of the 10 players that uh, couldn't go to Canada because of the vaccine. But I do think, in spite of what John Heyman reported, I do think that the Yankees might be in on Andrew Benintendi, which I think would be a really smart move because this is a guy who played in Boston, who was successful in the playoffs. He's having a great year right now. He's hitting over 300. He's a left-handed hitter. He killed the Yankees when he played for the Red Sox. Their outfield, I'm a little skeptical of having Aaron Hicks because Aaron Hicks is, he breathes and he gets hurt. So I think they need to add an outfielder, and Benintendi would be, I think, the right choice.
That would be a good pickup for them.
Yeah, but do the Yankees have to go back and play Toronto? Like that's the thing. Or
They
would the
have one.
Yankees have?
They have one series in Toronto in late September, and Heyman said, well, the reason that they won't trade for him is because the choices, or if the Blue Jays are pitching a left-hand hitter, then Benintendi's not going to be in the lineup. So honestly, I think because the possibility that he would miss 2 or 3 games because of the vaccine is just asinine. You trade for the guy because he's the best player out there, and he has a history of being good in that stadium. So I would ignore the vaccine question and just go out and trade for him.
Yeah, but what if the Yankees had to play the Blue Jays in the playoffs? Then you can't
Right.
play.
I'm saying, you've got options. Like if they're pitching a left-hand pitcher, then he's not going to play anyway. So what the hell is the
Right, I
difference?
get it. Okay. I will say Hendricks has a shoulder strain. He's only on the 15-day, so I think he still could get traded.
I wouldn't mind it, but he's not having a particularly good year, but he did pitch in a World Series recently, so.
Yeah. All right, Nico, you got anything you want to push?
Yes, today's game brought to you by Camping World RVs. Play the game.
All right. That's it for the game. We'll catch everybody next time.